Okay, well, thank you very much for attending the African Light Source 2020 virtual event. It's a wonderful occasion to have you all here. We were going to be in Rwanda at this very time, but due to the pandemic, we have resorted to a virtual event. I want to tell you a little bit about the proceedings as they will unfold. And I want to give you a sense that we feel in the steering committee of the African Light Source. We have been organizing towards the African Light Source for 2 decades. And for this meeting, we want to report 3 very, very important milestones. We will launch our International Advisory Committee. We will launch letters of support and a MOU series of them. And we will also launch the conceptual design report process. Also on my slide here, if you download the PDF version, you will see documents, and I think they are fantastic reading if you want to see a chronicle of the progress towards the African Light Source. You can also find a little bit more material than this on our website. So I give you a reminder there. If you go to that link, it's our website. If you would go to the About section, then you will see some documentation ranging from 2 pages to more. And the most recent addition there is a survey of geology in Africa with light sources. I'll also remind you of the conference website. And I'm going to move on to my slides now. I want to first introduce you to the Executive Committee of the African Light Source, which you will also find on the website. And they are all around the world, and strong leadership from Africa and also Friends of Africa. We also remind ourselves why we are doing this, and these are the reasons here. You can look at them more deeply, but we are feeling very strongly that past events have shown us that it's actually very urgent for Africa to move forwards with a light source. You will hear that other light sources, of which there are 50, many of them are undergoing upgrades. And I want to say the upgrade is about 10,000 times figure of merit improvement. And so it really makes Africa realize that we need to be in this game. Also, the importance of innovation that has been highlighted, and the synchrotron is expected to be a font of this. So we go on. I want to quote a very good friend of the African Light Source. He's the executive director of the Third World Academy of Sciences at the moment, and maybe he's in the audience. I have this slide from him. It is a Professor Romain Morenzi, and he emphasizes that we need a light source because to have a wealthy, advanced Africa, we should have at least 1 million scientists. Scaling to the rest of the world, it means we're still only 1/6 of the average of a highly developed country. So that is also something the light source is going to bring us. I'm very pleased that in a little while you will also hear from the Ghanaian minister, the honorable minister, because Ghana has dedicated itself to be a champion of the light source. And now I would just like to mention that the African Light Source is engaged in top-down and bottom-up activities. And you see examples. This is a very, very large conference, took place just over a year ago in Africa. Also, The AFLS is written into the Africa Union, as you see documented here, is a decision that has been taken by the Africa Union that it is something that should be promoted. Later on in this conference, the Friday program, you will see the letters of support and they will be highlighted. You will see our International Advisory Committee. I can't say more because I'm leaving everything for the actual launch, but this is a very, very important step. Then there's the conceptual design report. Also, again, I don't want to say too much more, but I want to emphasize that as we take the light source to governments, we will need this conceptual design report. You will see it's 5 volumes and it will really bring gravitas. I fully believe that the conceptual design report, when it finishes next year, if things go according to plan, that will be the date from which we say the African light source was launched. That will be the date that we all know what we are talking about. I also want to say in these conference proceedings, you are going to see highlighted a lot of partners of the African light source. The African light source is like a broad umbrella for many partners, and they will speak in the session on Thursday. And I just mentioned X-Tech Lab, which is an initiative in Benin, but it is in fact a regional initiative pumping out ultimately hundreds of trained people per year, and also important on the roadmap. But there are many such initiatives and you are going to see them. Then you also will hear from 4 scientists, particularly on science. So we have chosen energy, materials, environment, paleoscience, and bioscience. And these are various days in this conference. So just to say, why did we choose paleoscience, etc.? Well, this is the footprint of paleoscience in Africa. One of our functions is to audit the science done with light sources. And this is not an easy task, but I want to bring you a very positive message that there's a very large footprint developing of light sources in Africa. Here's bioscience, it's just the feeder facilities. And these are groups that are fully competent to lead in bioscience at a light source. And this example motivation, I just wanted to include, particularly draw your attention to the last line. There has been African contributions to vaccine development, even in the current pandemic, and it has been structural determinations where function can be inferred from structure. And this is a very important slide because it establishes that a very, very important route for targeted medical interventions is light sources. And I want to draw to your attention that during the pandemic, highest level lockdown, light sources beamline on structural biology was an essential service all the way around the world. And that is really what has driven the development towards the drugs that are going to save the world, that you will see in due course. Now, material science, there's also a footprint developing in Africa. So I just want to say, if any of you do not recognize your country in this footprint, then please let the African Light Source know, because it's really mostly word of mouth that allows us to do the audit at the moment. But you do see a tremendous footprint developing in Africa in those fields that I mentioned, paleo, materials, and bio. I just want to end to say to you, please, I really hope you enjoy the conference and that it fills you with the same excitement that we have, that there will be a light source in Africa, and that there is tremendous momentum, and it is a massive boost from the items I mentioned that we will give prominence to in this conference. And I also want to say, please put in your diaries the 3rd week of November 2021. We are shooting for that date, Kigali, Rwanda, and that is where the postponed AFLS3, which is moving from this time to exactly 1 year in the future. So with that, I conclude my very brief introduction and I hand back to the chair. Thank you.